One Kohm, 30,000 credits. One Oxium, so glad they returned these things, to be honest. 22 Hexanon, they took more than that in one mission. Didn't know they took the 4 Spectre, but never mind. Now I've lost complete use of the mouse on the loading screen. And now we can claim the Kuva Kohm. As expected, a little bit more crit, quicker fire rate, more status, and worse everything? Wow. Magazine, smaller. Fall off, closer. Which is weird because it's got 26, which is higher than 25. But it starts at 13, so it's classed as a little bit worse. But it does 2 less impact, 2 less puncture, 6 less slash. I'm starting to question the usability of the Kuva weapons. They are basically going to do pretty much the same damage. Yes, higher DPS if you build it for crit, or even status, because the status will kick in more because it has a higher fire rate. But they balance this out by reducing the damage of it. So this thing is straight up cold damage because it was frost that was added to it as well as the bonus. This is one that I traded for because I didn't have it yet. This was the first one I've traded for, hence the reason I am mentioning it. And it comes with a cold bonus because I honestly never really checked what frame was used to take down that Kuva originally to convert it. But please tell me you have at least, okay, a day. Well, since it has cold on there, we may as well just increase the cold. But, as with the rest of them, many formers are going to be put on this, so the build is completely useless anyway. And I mean, come on. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. This, you have to throw primed point strike in this. Hell's Chamber has to go in there. Vicious Spread, also, that is a nightmare mod. Plus 90% damage with 60% spread. Throw in Vigilant Armaments, plus 60% multi-shot. Also has a 5% chance to increase crit shots, but considering this thing has a 19% crit chance and a 30% status, you can build this for status crit, but Blaze also exists, which is plus 60% damage and 60% heat, so you're talking about Prime Point Blank damage mod, Vicious Spread damage mod, Blaze damage mod, with Hell's Chamber multi-shot, Vigilant Armaments multi-shot. Yeah, if you have those 5 mods in there, however else you want to do this with the remaining 3 mod slots is completely up to you. It was a 52% weapon bonus, but sadly it was ice from frost. I do believe this was actually one that I traded for. So sadly did kind of, because Blaze is a thing, throw that on there, and it did give it 644.2 blast damage. With a corrosive element you can, of course, again, put these into many different orders, just depends which way you want to run it. You can also run Radiation and Viral, I think had pretty much the same combination damage wise, and I just tend to swap between the two. Magnetic also kind of works on this thing, building it for status. It won't go 100%, well it possibly will if you run nothing but the dual status elemental mods, but Blaze cannot be overlooked. The fact that it adds 60% damage and 60% heat, with Vicious Spread adding 60% damage and 60% spread. Yeah, these things, it was just, they're all, it can't go without saying. Okay, the Tigress exists. Lots of people are going to go to the comment section and go, Tigress, 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 or Tigress Prime, Tigress Prime, Tigress Prime. Yes, the Tigress exists, not as a Kuva weapon. As a Kuva weapon, there was 2 shotguns. The Kuva Kohm and the Kuva Dragoon. Sadly though, I think, actually I'm saying I think, I know for a fact that they both share the same status chance, but the Kuva Dragoon has 21% crit chance, and does tons more damage. Why they didn't add more perks to this, actually I can show this one, I will never know. You can see it. The Dragoon does more crit in every way. Yes, it has a slower fire rate, it has a tiny magazine in comparison, and we'll get to that in a second, has the same status, but when it comes to the actual damage, I'm sorry, in no realm of any reality is 4 better than 46, or 12 better than 368. Yes, it has a 209 magazine, but 368 versus 12. 26 versus 4 and 26 versus 4. The Kohm is still a good weapon in its own right, but the Dragoon, yeah, way better. Tons better. Even fully upgraded, you will still, I think, with all of those damage mods in there, it ended up, no lie, 0.2 better. 46.2 impact. 46.2 puncture. It is 0.2, but that is fully upgraded. Yeah, if you want a weapon purely for damage, you are going to have to get the Dragoon. The Kohm is useless. Until you start to realise, oh hang on, it has a 209 magazine. The 209 magazine is what saves this thing. There is no nice way of putting it. If it wasn't for the fact that it has the capability of shooting really quickly and shooting 209 rounds at a time, this thing would have fully sucked. But if you run around for this for even a fraction of a mission, you will realise it's not absolutely amazing when it comes to damage, but it does enough damage that 209 rounds you will be able to take out a lot of enemies without having to reload this, which is where it comes into its own. For anything up to about level 50 or 60, all you do is run around with this. Beyond that, yes, use the Dragoon for the higher level missions. For normal missions, this thing worked perfectly fine. I just wish it could hold more ammo, because the reserve for something that has a 209 magazine was tiny. You reload this thing twice and you're out of ammo. You will run out of ammo a lot with this. So even though it has that high magazine capacity, you will still need to be very careful not to empty the magazine completely into a single enemy. Which is why for normal missions it's perfectly fine. When you get to higher level stuff, anything say 55 to 60 or higher, take the Dragoon. For everything else, this worked perfectly fine. And 209 magazine was great. It was... I didn't even realise it had a big magazine at first. I thought it just reloaded really quickly. It does have a punch through, which was... Well, what is the punch through on this? 1.5, which makes up for the lack of damage. A lot, actually, because you can shoot multiple enemies at once with a 4.17 fire rate and a huge magazine. Yeah, it doesn't have the damage numbers, but it makes up for it because it can stick a lot more rounds into enemies very quickly. You don't have to charge it up like you do the Dragoon, though that does have a much quicker fire rate than the standard one. This thing, it just kind of plows enemies down up until, again, 55, 60. Beyond that, yeah, things start to get weird, but as long as you kind of swap it to a different weapon or take a really good secondary, you can still plow through higher level enemies with it, but you will just basically be knocking them over and maybe stripping their armor off if you have corrosive on it. Beyond that, for the lower level stuff, it will take them out very quickly, very effectively, and still leave you tons of rounds in the magazine to start shooting at other things. And it's good for crowd control with the 1.5 times inert punch through. I was having lots of fun with this until I realised the damage numbers, which explained a lot, because I was taking it against higher level stuff and going, why is this thing getting worse as enemies are getting higher levels? It should be perfectly fine. Nope. It's because it really doesn't do a great deal of damage, and if you are looking for a good shotgun for the higher level enemies, Tigris Prime, even the Kuva Dragoon. But for day-to-day shotguns where you just want to blast through everything and anything coming at you, Kuva Kohm, big magazine, nice punch through, works really well. But anyway, we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.